Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. This is Dr. Stephanie, your double board certified critical care physician. I work with physicians who are struggling with their jobs, burnt out with their careers, or who just want some career advice. Through my books, webinars, coaching, and speaking, I help physicians discover alternative jobs and careers in medicine so that they can practice medicine on their own terms. And welcome to this Tuesday's edition of Let's Talk Tuesday, sponsored by Floyd Lee Locum. So before we get started, gonna ask a favor. If you are here, just let me know that you're here by typing something in the comments. If you like one of my comments, hit the like button. If you love it, hit the love button. If you're watching this on replay, type replay. Please feel free to tag any of your friends who you think may need to hear this. And please feel free to share this. So like I said, this is Let's Talk Tuesday, sponsored by Floyd Lee Locums. And hi, Dr. Show Up. Thank you so much for joining me. So what we're going to talk today is we're going to talk about ditching the disappointment, how to have the proper locums perspective. And the reason I want to talk about this is because oftentimes when physicians make the decision to start doing locums, they are initially excited. For whatever reason they've decided to do locums, whether it is they want to earn extra money, whether it is they want to, have more free time, more control over their schedule, whatever the reason they decide to do locums, they first feel a sense of excitement. However, that feeling of excitement soon turns into disappointment when things don't go quite as planned. But I want to talk about 4 steps you can take to really kind of minimize your chances of being disappointed with the locums process. So like I said, we're going to talk about ditching the disappointment, how to have the proper locums perspective. The first thing, and this is really clear, and if you've heard me talk any about locums, this is the one thing that I keep coming back to, is to be clear about the reason you are doing locums. So when you decide to start doing locums, if you decide to transition from a permanent job to a locums job for whatever reason, you need to be absolutely clear about the reason you are doing it. So ask yourself, are you doing locums to escape a bad job situation? Because if you are, you will be disappointed when you realize that the place that you left has just as many problems as the locums place you're going to. So be clear about that. Are you doing locums to escape a bad job situation? Are you doing locums as a transition from one permanent job to a next? If this is your situation, then really things aren't going to bother you so much because you just left a permanent job and in a couple of months you have another permanent job lined up. And so locums is just a transition for you. So you may approach it differently than somebody who is running from a bad job situation. Are you doing locums to make extra money so that you can reach your financial goals? So if that's the case, be clear about what your financial goals are. Be clear about how much extra money you want to make, and be clear about how much locums that you want to do, because when you have this clarity, it allows you to focus. And when you're focused, you kind of, view things in a little different way. Also, you need to just make sure that you know why you're going to do locums, because for whatever reason you're doing locums, whatever reason you've decided to do it, you need to have a clear expectations, have clarity so that you can be focused, so that you won't be as upset or disappointed when things don't go quite as planned. The second thing that you need to do is you need to develop a locums strategy, and this is very important. And I tell every doctor who does locums or who is considering doing locums that your second job as a locums doctor is to find your next job as a locums doctor. And this means that you must actively be working towards starting your next locums assignment. Bottom line. And you have to develop a strategy in terms of where you're going to look for your assignments, how many locums companies you're going to contact, how many recruiters you're going to work with, how many times a day, how many times a week you're going to speak to your recruiters. You also need to set aside time, and determine which time you're going to set aside to actually do the work that is needed, the paperwork that is needed to be done. Because, like the old saying goes, time is money. However, if you want to make money as in doing locums, you have to put the time in. So you have to develop a strategy. You have to develop a clear and concise strategy in terms of, I'm going to, fill out this application on this day, or I'm going to reach out to these recruiters, or I'm going to take this day to update my CV. Or if you're in a locums assignment right now, you think that assignment is going to be ending, you need to be reaching out to your current recruiter, or, reaching out to some more recruiters so that you can start actively looking for your next assignment. So you have to develop a locum strategy. The people who I find who are the most disappointed with locums don't have a clear strategy. It's kind of like they kind of approach it like pie in the sky. They've only contacted one company. They maybe have only talked to one recruiter. They haven't followed up. They haven't, started the application process. They haven't turned in any of the documents their recruiter has required. But then, you're disappointed that you don't have a locums assignment, and it's been 4 months since you've decided to do locums. So you have to develop a locum strategy. The third thing is you have to adjust your expectations, and this is huge. This is this can be applied to anything in life, but it especially applies to locums. And always remember this: whenever you want to know what your role is as a locums doctor, think about what locums actually means. Locum tenens is Latin for placeholder. So you are a physician who is holding the place of a permanent physician until a permanent physician can be found. Let me repeat that. As a locum tenens doctor, locum tenens literally means placeholder. So you are holding the place of a physician until a permanent physician can be found. Period. You're a placeholder. So to put it more bluntly, y'all, I've been in the locums game for 10 years, and I've been doing locums exclusively full time for 2 years. So when I first started doing locums, I took a moonlighting job when I was living in Pittsburgh at one of the hospitals. And I went to, interview kind of face to face, and they're like, yeah, we're just looking for some moonlighters. And I will never forget this, that one of the senior partners, he's like, listen, we're getting hammered, we're short staffed, and honestly, we just need a warm body to fill the shift. Bottom line, that's what they needed. And although it seems harsh, I do appreciate the fact that he was honest with me in the terms of the fact they just needed somebody to work the shift. And that's exactly what you are as a locums doctor. You are somebody to work the shift. So what does that mean? That means that your job is to fill the shift. Your job is to provide standard of care to your patients within and work within the environment and the confines of the hospital or whatever organization you're working in. You are not there to change the world. You are not there to revolutionize the way they practice medicine. You are not there to point out their deficiencies, their structural deficiencies, their systematic deficiencies. You're not there for that. And they are aware that they have problems. If they didn't have problems, they wouldn't need you as a locums doctor. And I say this to say that I had that experience. When I finished my fellowship, I trained at the University of Pittsburgh. And if anybody knows anything about critical care medicine, they know the University of Pittsburgh is where it's at. We are right there, right here, right now. Critical care, critical care especially as a specialty was started at the University of Pittsburgh. So I'm young, I'm gung-ho. I'm like, yes, I'm going to take all of my knowledge and training and expertise, and I'm going to go to these community hospitals and revolutionize the way they practice critical care. Not going to happen. So a lot of times when you are used to working in a tertiary care center, used to working in places that has a lot of physicians, a lot of specialty support, you're used to doing things a certain type of way, and then you do locums in a smaller community, a smaller hospital, and you think that you can bring your big city training and your academic training to that facility and do things their way, it doesn't work that way. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that you have to be very flexible and able to practice medicine in that particular environment. Period. So as long as you know that, you will be fine. Let me see some of the comments. Dr. Centrell, thank you for joining. You said it's weird to be called a rent-a-doc, no interest in changing it. And that's exactly what you are. You are a rent-a-doc. That is what you are. That is what I am. And as long as you know that, as long as there's a level of expectation on the part of the client, the facility, the organization that you're working for, and as long as there's that expectation for you, it's fine. It is fine. People get disappointed when they think that they're going into these places and, these places are going to change the way they do business and practice medicine just because you come. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. As long as you are providing evidence-based medicine standard of care to your patients, that is what you're expected to do. And if you find yourself in a situation that you're working and, you can't provide the certain care that's needed for your patient, then, there are avenues that you can take. If you find that you go to a place and you don't fit in, you're just not able to work there and it's not a good fit, then then you need to find another place. But as long as you know that what your role is, how they see you, and you are okay with that, then you'll be fine. And Dr. Centrell Crawford says, I was fine with it. And I mean, I do locums full time. And y'all, I'm to the point where I'm so sold on locums. I was at one of the hospitals that I've been. Y'all want to hear something funny? I'm going to share something funny with you guys. So as you guys know, those of you who know my story, you know that the way I fell into locums is because I lost a couple of jobs along the way, aka got let go, got fired, contract non-renewed. And so that's how I started doing locums. And so then I had picked up some permanent jobs after doing locums, and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? So now, because I'm all into locums and I've accepted the fact that I'm a locums doctor and I absolutely love it, now I jokingly tell people that I'm unemployable, meaning that I am not the person to sign a permanent employment contract. So I was at my last assignment, which strangely enough, I've been going to this place for over a year. So I've worked longer at this place as a locums doctor than I've worked any place as a permanent doctor. So what does that tell you? And they were chit-chatting, and a couple of more doctors are leaving, and the nurses were just talking to me, and I'm like, listen, whoa, guys, y'all know I am a locums doctor. I am unemployable. I am a placeholder. I am the warm body to fill the shift. So 10 years ago, I would have been offended if somebody called me a rent-a-doc or a placeholder or a warm body to fill a shift. Now I embrace it. And I let people know that is what my role is. I understand what my role is, and it works for me. So adjust your expectations about what being a locums is about. And the fourth thing is, like I say, y'all, don't take it personally. The older I get, the more I've realized that a lot of stuff that happens has nothing to do with me. And Dr. Centrell is a psychiatrist, and I'm sure that she spends so much of her time, right? She says, right, I can't imagine going to a permanent LOL unemployable. I want to be a rent-a-doc. Rent me out all day long. Half stethoscope will travel. Baby, I have so many frequent flyer miles and I love it. But I'm sure that Dr. Crawford, as a psychiatrist, will tell you that she spends a lot of her time with her patients, counseling them on how to manage expectations and how not to take so many things personally, because a lot of things that happen in the workplace, and even a lot of times how people respond to you really doesn't have anything to do with you. There are a lot of external forces that are being dealt with, and locums is no different. Medicine is a business. Locums is $1 million, if not $1 billion industry, because the physician shortage is real, and the locum tenens company and the locums industry plays a vital role in providing coverage and staffing for these facilities. There are some facilities that could not function if it were not for locums doctors. That is how great the need is. So you have a lot of facilities that need doctors. You have a lot of doctors who want to work, need to work, but there's so many moving parts that have to fall into place. So Dr. Crawford says, all of my time has nothing to do with you exactly. So there's so many different parts that have to fall into place. For example, let's say you wake up one day and decide you want to do locums. Okay, great. So you reach out to a locums company. They start asking you some questions, places like, what's your specialty? Where are you licensed? Are you willing to travel? Blah, blah, blah. Then they have to look and see whether or not there are any clients that have a need for you. Okay. Then they've got to get you credentialed with their company. Then they've got to make sure you have a license in the state where the assignment is. If you don't have the license, they got to decide whether or not they want to get you licensed. They need to present you to the company and the client, and the client has to decide, A, I need her, B, this is the time in which we need her. And then the company, the client, and you have to kind of agree to things. The locums company has to coordinate everything. You've got to get licensed and credentialed. They're dealing with paperwork and legal issues on the side of the client. So you have all of these pieces, moving parts that have to fall into place. And sometimes they don't fall into place. So therefore, don't take it personally when you're interested in working for a client and they just decide that they don't need you or it doesn't fit. Don't take it personally, because there are a myriad of things that can come into play when it has to do with whether everything falls into place. For example, I have like 12 or 13, maybe 14 state licenses. I lose count. And I have an Ohio license, and I'm always booking out. I'm already booked through May. I'm always booking out 3, 4, 5 months in advance. And so there was a assignment that came open in Ohio, and I was like, okay, the place is a direct flight from me in Houston. So, I'm all about my direct flights. And I was like, I can do that. It was the right job description, the right pay. But here's the thing. They wanted a local candidate. So even though I had been presented, I can do X amount of shifts per month. This is the pay that they're willing to pay. I have availability. The fact that I was not a local candidate, they didn't accept me, period, because they had a criteria of what they wanted their providers to be. This happens all the time. So my point is, don't take it personally. And when you just stop taking things personal and realize that medicine is a business, locums is a business, locums is a numbers game. And it is kind of like, a game of let's making sure that everything falls into place at the right time. So once you kind of, learn how to maneuver that, you won't be disappointed with things, because you're going to know that it is what it is. So just a brief recap of, ditching the disappointment, how to have the proper locums perspective. First thing is, let's be clear about the reason that you're doing locums. Second thing is, you need to develop a locums strategy. Like I always tell my doctors, your second job as a locums doctor is to find your next job as a locums doctor. Find a strategy. Time is money. And if you want to make money doing locums, you got to put the time into doing locums. The third thing is, you need to adjust your expectations. As a locums doctor, you are a placeholder. You are there to hold the place and to do the work until they can find a permanent doctor. And that's all you are. And the fourth thing is to don't take it personally. Do not take it personally when things don't work out. Don't take it personally when you don't get an assignment that you thought you wanted. In my experience, I always like to say man's rejection is God's protection. So if you don't get chosen for an assignment, that's not the assignment for you. Don't take it personally. There's another assignment, that's on its way. But the key is, in order to, and this is the key, in order to not be disappointed with locums, in order to understand the process, and in order to understand what you're going to expect, what to expect and what the clients expect of you, you have to work with an experienced recruiter, with an experienced company who knows the business. You have to work with people who know the locums business inside and out. You have to work with a locums recruiter who knows your specialty inside and out, what is required. You have to work with a locums company that has an excellent working relationship with the client. If you have that locums company and that locums recruiter, that makes all the difference in the world. So, and I can personally say I have worked with the people at Floyd Lee Locums. I just did an assignment with them, and I'm doing another assignment with them. And y'all, it was a good assignment. And I've been doing this for 10 years. So I would highly recommend that you contact the locums experts today at www.floydleelocums.com. If you do that, I can guarantee your chances of being disappointed will be much lower, and your chances of really having a good experience as a locums doctor are going to be greatly improved. That's www.floydleelocums.com. This is Dr. Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday's edition of Let's Talk Tuesday, sponsored by Floyd Lee Locums. I will see you soon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thanks, and bye-bye.